Hello, my name's Karen Harrison-Denning and I head up research and publications for a UK charity called Dementia UK. I've been a nurse for over 45 years now, but the majority of those years have been spent caring for families affected by dementia in a variety of contexts, care settings and services. More recently, and we're going back to 2008, I joined the charity and became a consultant Admiral Nurse. And it is today that I'm going to talk to you about Admiral Nursing. Admiral Nurses are specialists in dementia care. They have nursing registrations, whether that be for mental health nursing, general nursing, or indeed learning disability nursing. But what is important is that they have a high level of knowledge, skills, and expertise in caring for families affected by dementia. Admiral Nursing was first conceived approximately 25 years ago by a family that established the charity Dementia UK. And what they found was that they could buy services or access services quite readily for their father, who had dementia, and they were a very wealthy family. But actually what was lacking was effective care and support for the families around that person with dementia. Over the years, it has evolved away from an intervention that's devoted to supporting family carers to supporting the whole family, because I think it's important to recognise that dementia does not travel alone. Dementia affects family relationships. Dementia affects a wide circle of people beyond that person with dementia. So the intervention of Admiral Nursing has adapted over the years and is now very much relationship centred. Admiral Nursing is the only described or defined model of specialist dementia nursing in the UK. There are other dementia specialist nurses, but none that have a commonality in their description of the model of how it's delivered and how there's consistency across that model. Admiral nurses are often employed or by host organisations, whether that's the National Health Service, whether that's social care organisation. It could be a group of care homes or hospices delivering palliative and end-of-life care. But what is consistent across all of those host organisations is the way that Admiral Nursing is delivered, and it works to a core, clear set of principles and processes to enable it to be defined and recognised in such a way that is consistent across the whole country. It might be that when it's delivered in those different care settings, it might not be a service or a model that's available across the whole trajectory of dementia. The gold standard, we would argue, is where it's delivered from point of diagnosis right through to death of the person with dementia, and then in supporting family members to grieve and to pick up their lives again. But not all of our host organisations want to commission Admiral Nursing across the whole trajectory. They might commission it for a specific time span within a certain part of that journey. For example, Admiral Nurses are often commissioned within acute hospitals. So their remit there would be to work with the family affected by dementia whilst that person's admitted to that acute hospital, and then enable their discharge back out into the community with an appropriate care package. What we would hope is that Admiral Nurses are not just involved at the point of diagnosis and beyond, but that often families find it very difficult to get a diagnosis of dementia, to actually convince the general practitioner that something's not quite right, that something's wrong. And Admiral Nurses, if they get involved, can actually help a family in gaining the diagnosis. We call that peri-diagnosis. So when you suspect something's wrong and actually working out what it is, but also what it isn't, because there are other conditions that can mimic dementia. So it's very important that families can have access to Admiral Nursing. Now, because of the disparities in commissioning, and as I mentioned before, that Admiral nurses are not always commissioned in such a way that they can work from very beginning right to the very end, we also have an Admiral Nurse Dementia Helpline. It's the only helpline in the UK providing support for families affected by dementia that is manned by qualified and experienced Admiral nurses. So anybody across the country, and indeed we do get calls from the globally, can access that advice, information and support. But importantly, again, not just families affected by dementia, but we get a lot of calls from professionals too, because generalists often struggle with different aspects of how can I support this patient I've got with Crohn's disease. They've also got dementia, and it's very difficult to help them to manage their treatment plans, for example. So we can actually support professionals in that way also. And the helpline is available 24/7 virtually and 7 days a week throughout the year.